Hi there, my name is Christina McCaffrey, and I'm going to talk to you today about problems and how they show up in our lives. Have you ever had a time in your life where you thought, man, I don't even know how to work on this problem at all? I've never encountered anything like this. This is crazy. How do I go about it? Well, there are people who have thought this through. And one of the people who have thought it through is a man called David Snowden, and he came up with a framework called the Cynefin framework. And I'm going to put a slide up on how you spell that. It's a Welsh word, and it sounds Cynefin, but it means in Welsh it means habitat. So like how problems show up in our world, and whenever you can figure out like how the problem, what type of problem this is, then you can actually come up with an action plan on how to address it. So he broke problems into four different types. And I'm going to go over them really quickly with you, and then I'll go into them in a little bit more detail. But they are the simple, the complicated, the complex, and the chaotic. So simple, complicated, complex, and chaotic. So simple is you have a problem, just say you're sick, you have food poisoning. That's a very easy way to figure out like, oh, what is the issue? Where did I get that? What is the cause? What would the cause be? The cause is I ate those scallops last night, and this is the effect. Cause and effect occur in our world all the time. Things happen because things cause it. So if we think of a scientific approach, it's always, try to figure out what the cause is, eliminate the cause, and you'll eliminate the effect. Or highlight the cause and you'll highlight the effect, right? So in that first one, the simple one, oh, I've got food poisoning. Oh, why do I have food poisoning? Oh, I ate those scallops last night. That's a simple, simple, simple. The cause is easy to understand. The effect is easy to understand. And a lot of that is our life, you don't work and you don't have money, you're going to have a problem, like you can directly point to the cause all over the place. The scientific method is, find the cause to a problem and eliminate that cause, and you'll eliminate the problem. And there's a lot of research done on, can you replicate that? Like if I find that the cause is the scallops, but then somebody else eats it, like 12 other people eat it and they don't get sick, then it's not the scallops, right? So replication is part of that. Okay, so that's the simple one. Very, very simple. It's like, oh, I know exactly what the cause is. You can point to it. The cause is right there. And the second one is the complicated one. So I have a problem. I want to sell my house. I have a problem. I want to get married. I have a problem. I want to get divorced. I have a problem. I want to do something that I'm not used to doing, and I don't know how to do it. I have a problem. I want to get a job. So it's complicated. There's a lot of different steps that you can take. I have, I'm really good at selling houses, so I'm going to use the house analogy as a perfect example. So, many people think like, oh, I'm just going to put a sign in front of my house and then my house is going to be sold. Well, that's just not how it works. You know what I mean? How do you know what price to put on it? How do you know what the market's looking for? How do you know, like, how do you know how to negotiate? Do you know how to stage your house? Do you know how to do you know the laws of the land so that you're not breaking laws as you're moving this through? How do you handle inspections? How do you handle escrow? How do you handle closing? So what happens normally is you hire an estate agent who is versed in all of those. If you're getting married, you hire somebody, a priest or a minister, you hire somebody to make your wedding dress, you hire somebody else to make your wedding cake. You might even hire like a wedding planner. So you need expert advice for something complicated. I'm going to tell you one of the things that helped me understand problems or how they showed up, or effects, cause and effect, was signal to noise. I learned this ages ago, and it was one of the most cool things that I ever learned. So, in a case of a simple one, it would be, if you think about a radio, if you turn the radio on and the instantly you're hearing the talk radio that you want to hear, the signal is clear, and all you did was press one button. And it was clear as a bell. You didn't have to do anything. The complicated, you might have to like put the radio a certain way, put the antenna up, raise the radio, put it in a different window to get the signal to come through clear, right? So in that first one, it's like beep, bop. The effect is bop, right? The second one is beep, 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 bop, right? The third one is something called the complex. And these are the kind of things that show up in your life where you go, what the heck? Just what? What? It's the problem that takes your legs out, like where you're like, where did that come from? What is the deal on that? And you just weren't expecting it. You didn't anticipate it at all. It seems like it's just really coming out of nowhere, and it's going to reorient you like there's no tomorrow. And I'm going to keep with that signal idea here. So if you're looking at a radio at this case, it would be, you have that radio, it's up high, the antenna's up, you've pushed it against the right window, you've turned it on, and you're getting these really weak signals. You're getting these really weak signals. And then you get this blast, and you're like, what the heck happened? And you can't figure out what happened. And a perfect analogy for this is, the terrorist attack on 9/11 in 2001 in the United States. So what happened during 2001, 9/11, September 11th in 2001, was that the there had been a lot of these little signals. So the NSA had some information, the CIA had some information, the people who were in charge of training people on how to fly planes had some information about sketchy guys, and that all was not communicated across the groups. And then on 9/11, these sketchy terrorists attacked and killed thousands of people in the World Trade Center, in the Pentagon. They were going for the White House. And so it was an absolute insane event. And everybody was rocked across the world. Everyone was rocked. Like, how did that happen? And whenever a review was done, the American government looked and they said, oh, wait a minute, there was a little bit of information here, a little bit of information here, there was a little bit of information here, but these guys were not communicating with each other. We have to develop an oversight group, Homeland Security, that's going to make sure that they collect data from all of that and that they keep their eyes on it so that we avoid any of these blind spots. That's a major blind spot. And then we also should do this, and we should do this, and we should do this. And, we should record people. We should keep a list of like people that we're worried about. Maybe we're even going to go a little bit too far and blame people that didn't have anything to do with it. Or we're going to get really like freaked out about different things. But we are going to have a plan to stop that blind spot from happening. Now, if you move that into your own life, think about like, have you ever been blinded by somebody who really like just did something horrible to you? Maybe you were in a relationship and you found out, like, just say you were in a love relationship and you found out that the person that you were involved with cheated on you, and you're like, what on earth? What? And you start talking to your friends and your family, and your friends and your family are like, yeah, I don't trust that guy. I just didn't. I don't know. He was just a little too flirty. Or, yeah, it was obvious to me, like the guy was working too late and he was constantly working too late. Or, yeah, I never really trusted that guy. So there was a lot of little signals, but because they weren't communicating that to you, or because you were refusing to see it, you missed the signals. And now the boom has happened and your legs have been taken out from underneath you. And you're like, oh my God, can I trust myself? I can't even look at the right thing. That would be a complex one. And going back into the radio signal, again, it's beep, 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 but they're not communicating, and then bop. So, but there is signals there. There's red flags all over this. The fourth one is chaotic. And God, when this shows up in our life, it gets really bad. And, this is, I think Yeats' poem, every time I think of this, The Second Coming, near anarchy rules the world. The center cannot hold. He talks about like just everything just falls apart. All the systems fall apart. And basically, if I was doing the noises with that, it would be bzz, bop, bzz, bop, 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 bzz, 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 bzz. Like, so you can't even, like, where does it start? There was a book I read recently called The Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler. Fabulous book, really good book. And in the book, it's a story about an 18-year-old girl who's living in Los Angeles in the United States. And the world is in anarchy. There's problems with the weather. So, these crazy storms come through all the time. Storms are unpredictable, and the government has fallen. There's resource issues, so you can't get water or food or clothing. It's a very, very scary time. There's roving groups of people who are doing, they're doing these mad drugs, and they're stealing and they're attacking, and there's death and there's destruction, and many people are uneducated because the educational system is gone. And it's literally anarchy. It is anarchy. There's no system that works. It ends up, she had been a child, and her father was a Baptist minister, and the whole family gets killed. And God, I'm giving you so many spoilers. The whole family gets killed, though, and she's now at a loss. And what is she going to do? So what she does is she creates a religion. And the first part of this religion that she creates is not based on, the Christian philosophies of like hope, 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 hope. She bases this on reality. And her first foundation of her new religion is change is inevitable. Now, if you're in a chaotic world, that is the only thing that you can trust, that change is coming at you and that you can't trust. But if you can trust that you can't trust, you can take action. So she put that as the foundation. Like, we cannot trust anything that's coming at us. Change is inevitable. So if we keep that as the bottom, then we can add to that. Now I'm going to find people that I can be loyal to and create a plan with. So in the first one, in this simple, it's very easy. Don't eat the scallops. It's a simple problem. You know what the cause is. Don't eat the scallops. The second one, the complicated, hire somebody. If you can't figure it out, hire somebody and you'll get to the right effect, right? You'll get married properly. It may not be perfect, but you'll get married, or you'll get that house sold. God willing, you hire well, you'll get it sold. The third one is whenever you have your legs taken out, it's a complex issue. You're going to see in review. And if you're a smart person, whenever you're in that spot, you will actually hire somebody, or you'll come up with a plan to have others look at everything on, so that they can look at the forest from the wood. They can really look into your life and see what's going on. But the fourth one, so that fourth one, you really got to just take some action. Take some action. Octavia Butler's character obviously took action. She decided, like, okay, I'm going to come up with some rules. I'm going to put my own rules on this. And then I'm going to start connecting with people. So she moved from like, I'm going to put in rules, and then I'm going to move it into complex and like start building relationships, right? And then if I can build relationships, I can build a plan and a way out. I can get some help from others and get a way out. So the next time that you are running into a problem and you think, God, how do I get out of this? One of the first things that you can do is, think about this, like which one of these types of problems is it? Is it really a complex problem, or is it a complicated problem, or is it a simple problem? Don't get caught up on those simple or complicated ones. It's the complex one, it's in the chaotic that you got to worry about. And again, so simple, all you just do is like, you know, look and see what's going on, and you just do a little bit of analysis. The second one, the complicated, you hire experts. The third one, you do a review so that you don't get into that again. It's almost like you're not going to know the complex ones coming at you until it's too late. But once you figure it out, like figure it out, and so that you don't have that keep repeating. And then the chaotic one, when the system starts falling apart, you have to know that, like all systems, like if you're like chaotic, okay, so like if you were looking at chaos right now, you would be looking in Ukraine. I mean, there's a war going on in Ukraine. People at Christmas time in Ukraine were having a normal lifetime. They were, having family and friends over. They were eating meals. They were going out dancing. They were hanging out with their friends. They were going to jobs. Nowadays, they are, wondering where their next meal's coming from. They are losing people that they love to separation or death. There is an issue with, how safe are you? There's, cut off of food and water. It's chaotic. It's chaotic. So in that case, that it's a war. Wars are chaotic. Wars have to be won or lost, or you've got to get out of there. So there's always action that can be taken, and you just have to figure out which one you have to do. Do you believe that, you need to stay and fight? Do you believe that, you need to surrender? Do you need to, or do you need to go? You can't deal with that. You just need to, like, there's safety over there, so I'm going to go. Whatever it is, take action. So I hope that helps you. And I'm sorry some of those are a little bit depressing, but I bet you can look in your life and say, wow, I think I've experienced this, and this one. I have experienced all four of them, and they're all crazy. They all can be a little bit crazy. Effects can be pretty rough, like no matter what it is, even in the simple one, if you're talking about like cause and effect, like if you've ever had, I use the example of food poisoning. Man, you ever had food poisoning? Like, yeah, I know what the cause was, but it doesn't help me right now. This is really bad. And it kind of gets caught up in the, like, oh, it gets complicated because I need to go get a doctor. I need to go get like help for this. And you know, and then if you've ever been in a complex one where something like catches you unaware, it'll leave you questioning yourself, like, what the heck? I thought I had my stuff together. Like, it will really leave you with some chaos in your life, like where you're like, what on earth? How did that happen? Um, and then chaotic, I have to tell you, chaotic is really awful. But the complex one, I think, is like really close to it, because the complex one, the chaotic one, that you're not doing it. Whereas with the complex one, you'll think like, what did I do? What did I miss? So I hope that helps, guys. And I look forward to talking to you again soon. And I'm sorry for all the spoilers with the Octavia Butler Parable of the Sower book. I'm going to put a link, a picture of that down in the comments. And I'm also going to put a link to the William Butler Yeats, The Second Coming, so you can kind of hear that and see what I mean by, near anarchy. William Butler Yeats was the man. He was just so cool. Anyway, I hope you have a good day, and I will talk to you soon.